A little while back, we ran a one-day workshop in London for business owners and marketing managers, where a bunch of ninjas from Exposure Ninja came in to talk about each of the areas that they worked in and some of the latest developments in those spaces. Really, the goal of the day was to prepare attendees for the next year and help them get to a position where they're really going to dominate their digital marketing. We decided to put the recordings of these workshops online on YouTube, so enjoy.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Dale Davis. I'm the head of digital strategy at Exposure Ninja. I'm going to be talking to you about EAT today, what it is, and I'm going to give you the recipe for it. It's very, very important. Before I get started, I'd just like to ask you a question. So I ask you to put your arm up and keep that up if you can answer it. So I'm going to start by asking you, have you bought any electronics in the last 12 months? Is that a mobile phone, a laptop, tablet, washing machine, fridge, anything like that? Okay, all right, so a sizable part of the room. Keep your arm up and put it down if you didn't look at any reviews before making that purchase. Okay, so not very many people. Put your arm down if you looked at maybe fewer than 3, fewer than 4. Okay, still quite a large number of the room. Put your arm down if you looked at fewer than 5 reviews. Okay, so fair few of you looked at reviews before you made a purchase. Fair few of you looked at lots of reviews before you made a purchase. Okay, you can put your arms down now. There's a reason for this. There's a reason that we look at online reviews. There's a reason we ask other people their opinion about products, about services before we purchase them. And that's because we care about opinions and we care about credibility. And you're not alone when you make a purchasing decision. Everybody behaves in that same way. 84% of people, when they make a purchase, they look at online reviews before doing so. They want to build up their own opinion, but they trust the opinions of other people, and they trust their credibility as well. So you want to have a credible opinion about a product or service or a business before you exchange money with them. So in this session, I'm going to tell you about how Google focuses on credibility in the same way that you do, and how Google is changing the algorithm to make it behave exactly like you do. And I'm also going to show you how to profit from these changes. So, 2 seconds. Okay, so what is EAT? Well, it's absolutely not this, as much as those donuts do look good. It's actually more about this. It's about how you can encourage someone to hand over their credit card to you. It's about how you encourage someone to hand over their money to you because they're going to build up some trust in you. And it's about how you demonstrate your expertise. It's about how you demonstrate your authority. And again, building up that trust. It's about EAT. And I'm going to tell you why that's so important. Because I'm going to tell you about what happens if you ignore EAT. Well, there used to be some emojis on there with some flames, and they seem to have disappeared. Thanks, Mac. So just wanted to demonstrate that if you ignore EAT, it's not just a small risk or slightly larger risk. Thanks, Mac. It's actually a lot of fire emojis. So you're putting not just your website, but potentially your business at risk by ignoring EAT, because it doesn't just work on your website. It's about your entire brand. It's about brand awareness. It's about brand trust. I'm not going to hand over my money to you if I can't trust you. And Google is changing the algorithm to make sure that businesses are being promoted based on how they score on EAT. And again, this can be hugely problematic on a website level, as we've seen for not Exposure Ninja clients, but this is a graph demonstrating the estimated traffic on a monthly basis. And back here, we have close to 2 million monthly visitors to this website. And because of a lack of EAT, when a huge algorithm update came in August, they dropped to 500,000. So that's a huge drop from close to 2 million to 500,000. If you're that business owner, lost traffic equals lost leads, lost sales, lost money. That's revenue gone because you failed to demonstrate to Google your expertise, your authority, and your trust. So 1.1 million lost. And we're talking thousands and thousands of websites that were hit by this update. Another website, 14 million estimated monthly visitors back here in April. The update dropped in August down to 4 million. That's 10 million monthly users lost. That's a lot of traffic, it's a lot of leads, a lot of revenue. So if you're a black business owner, you've got fire emojis everywhere. Your business is in trouble. So in August, the Medic update dropped. What is it? Pretty much happened overnight. It happened back in August. So this demonstrates like how active the algorithm is, how much it changes on a daily basis, and you can tell that it's pretty active most of the time, but then on 1st of August, or beginning of that week, it just went crazy. And we were seeing website owners everywhere saying, like, what's happening? What's happened to my website? I've lost ranking, I lost traffic. I'm scared, and rightfully so. And it affected YMYL websites, so another acronym for us to have to learn. What is YMYL? It stands for Your Money and Your Life. So this is a Google acronym within their search guidelines, which I'll get to in just a moment. But it basically says if you're in a high-risk area where somebody is going to risk their money or their life, you have to have a high level of EAT. We need to be able to trust you and the advice that you give in order for you to be ranked first, because Google is entrusting you with their customers. Their customers are search engine users. And if they can't trust you with them, they're not going to continue to promote you. They want to make sure that people have a great experience on the websites they list so that they come back again and again to search with Google. And these guidelines, Your Money, Your Life, they're about these kind of medical, financial, legal areas where you do entrust your money and your life. But in my opinion, and the opinion of all of us at Exposure Ninja, this counts towards everybody. Everybody should be following the Your Money, Your Life guidelines. You need to be able to guarantee that any customer coming to you via search or offline, if you have a bricks and mortar store, you have a local customer base, they need to be able to trust you in the same way you need to be able to promote why you're an expert and you have high authority. So again, it affected everybody. We've seen this in the algorithm. So this again measures how active the algorithm was, and we saw that health was highly affected. Health, wellness, well-being, those kind of domains are affected. But it affected absolutely everybody. Automotive, entertainment. Doesn't really matter if it was e-commerce or not. It could be an informational domain. It still was affected by the Medic update. So these rules really do apply to everybody. And when we look into the search quality guidelines, which I'll get to in just a second, it gives you examples of websites which need to demonstrate your money, your life values, let's call them that way. They need to be able to demonstrate EAT. And we have like e-commerce websites selling super cheap products for like $5, $10, which you would think, okay, I don't need to be that great with my demonstration of EAT. It's just a cheap product. Google doesn't agree. Google says if somebody's handing over their money, it doesn't matter how small that amount is, it needs to be able to trust that you're not going to mess around with that customer. You're not going to cheat them in any way or scam them in any way. So how do we stay on the right side of EAT? If it's so important, how do we make sure that we keep ourselves away from risk? Well, fortunately, Google has told us absolutely everything. There's a PDF out there. It's about 164 pages long, 5 hours worth of reading. Set aside a Sunday evening to read it. I highly recommend it. It's basically Google giving you a guide to SEO, a guide to ranking, essentially, a guide to increasing your traffic. I'll link you to that at the end, so don't worry too much about writing that down. But it details what is EAT, what is your money, your life. Gives you a full demonstration of the types of pages it's considering, gives you a full demonstration of the types of searches and so on. And they're created for a team of quality assurance people that have distributed around the world, which essentially, every time the algorithm changes, they run through and see, was it improved? Are the types of results coming back that we have engineered the algorithm to return? So the engineers in the search team, they make a change, they ask the search quality raters to double check that. So all of the guidance is in there, so we can read through that and learn exactly what EAT is. And it says that your expertise needs to be demonstrated as the content of MC. MC stands for main content. So that's pretty much the body of your copy, whether that's a product page, sales page, doesn't matter, all the same. You need to be able to demonstrate the authority of the creator of the content. The content itself needs to be authoritative, and also the entire website. So it's not just like your brand needs to be an expert or authoritative. It's every layer of your business, essentially. And again, trustworthiness is being measured by Google. If Google is saying we want our search quality raters to check if the results demonstrate that they are trustworthy, it's because the algorithm is doing that. They're not going to ask them to check something Google's algorithm can't do. Where have you gone? Hello. So again, they are measuring the trustworthiness of the creator of the content itself, and the website. So multi-layered. You need to be able to demonstrate that across the website, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's quite technical. We have some theories on how they're doing this. Not going to go into the details because it would take me another hour, and I don't want to do that to you. Plus, I'm not clever enough to understand what they're doing. They have thousands of super smart, straight out of university computer science people. Nobody can really understand what they're doing that well. Maybe a little bit. But they may be doing something called NLP, or natural language processing, which essentially allows them to scan through lots of pages on the internet and determine what's being written about, if it is good quality. For example, this is their own publicly available version, and you can do a quick test on here for free. You drop in a piece of content, and it will say, okay, we've identified that the word Google has been used, which is an organization. We can measure the sentiment of that word or the sentiment of the actual sentence itself. We can also look at, we're mentioning users, which are people, the sentiment score, phone, consumer good, Android, consumer good, and a longer piece of text, lots of other things that we found. Again, you can look at the sentiment in a separate tab, the syntax as well, categories. This is publicly available stuff. If this is the stuff that Google is telling you about, imagine the stuff they're not telling you about. There's a lot of deep, very complicated algorithm stuff that's happening behind the scenes that we're just scratching the surface of this. Don't you come back here. So again, we know this is all happening. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry, bloody man. Sorry to anybody from Apple if you're here. Again, Google's released this PDF for everybody to look through. It used to be hidden, but now they've publicly released it. They even gave us a warning about Medic Update if we were paying attention enough, which Exposure Ninja we had been, so none of the clients were affected. But they mentioned high EAT for medical advice. So when those websites were hit by the Medic Update, our clients were fine. But a lot of other websites out there on the internet weren't because they weren't paying attention. The information, again, is there for you to read. So this is all quite theoretical, but again, ignore EAT at your peril. Google can determine your expertise and your level of authority in your niche, your industry. Google can measure how trustworthy you are. And raters are testing that the algorithm works. So again, Google's not going to get them to test that it works if it can't already do this stuff. So this is all quite theoretical, so what does that look like in practice? Well, I told you I was going to give the recipe. Originally I had a big thing about measuring ingredients, stuff like that. I want to just give you the tips that you can take home and do tomorrow. So instead, I'm going to show you how to win with EAT, and to do so I'm going to use a great example. It's a website in the US called Healthline. They are experts at demonstrating EAT. And during the Medic Update, it might not look like a lot. This is an estimated traffic graph on a daily basis. Whereas every other website was being hit by this, they were slowly trending upwards. So on August 1st, slowly coming up. And they're now up to about 100 million daily visits. They're on 75 million just a few days before August 1st. They're now on 100 million, and last time I checked, 103 million daily visits because they got EAT right. So They demonstrate their EAT through the design of the website, through their content creators. They have content creators who have high level of expertise, high level of authority, and they've earned trust. They demonstrate their brand and everybody behind it. So they showcase who is the management team, who are the content creators. In my opinion, you should put your entire team on your website too. Show why it is that I should trust you with my money. Again, doesn't matter if it's a £5 backpack or fidget spinner, or it really isn't important what it is, but you must be able to earn that trust, because I'm not going to hand over my money to you if I don't trust you. Just like you wouldn't purchase an iPod from me if I was a faceless brand. You wouldn't trust me with, here's £2,000 for a Mac. Not that I would recommend Mac. But if you couldn't interact with me, if I was just faceless, brand, you'd want to do your research first and make sure that you could trust daledavis.com. They demonstrate the EAT of their content creators on each page. So for content which should demonstrate EAT, they list who wrote the content and what their experience is, what their qualifications are. So they have the author mentioned, and then we have their qualifications listed right next to this. They point out that this article is evidence-based as well. So again, they're backing up the claims that they make to demonstrate they're an expert. And then they link through to this author as well. So they link through. Again, who wrote the content? Why should I trust them? They have qualifications, right? Okay, I feel safer believing what this person has said. Again, it doesn't matter if you're selling medical products, medical advice, law, legal, every industry. Okay. And there's a bit of a background in there as well. So a list. Nutritional undergrad in Canada, received a master's degree in the UK. Add in your experience. Tell people why they should trust you. How long have you been working in your industry? How long have you worked at that company? Where did you get your qualifications? Are there other people that trust you? Are you part of any professional guild or association which would prove that you should be trusted? You're an architect. Are you in, is it RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects, or something like that? There are probably associations or things you're a member of that you could list and say, hey, this person should be trusted. I'm going to show you where it can go wrong if you don't do these kinds of things. There's a website called prevention.com. They do a very similar thing to Healthline. They promote medical advice. They didn't have a good time during the Medic update. They had about 5 million monthly visitors just prior to the Medic update. And they lost 1.3 million monthly visitors. So they're somewhere down here having a terrible time. They list their authors, but their authors don't have authority in that space. So for example, my partner had very bad hernia on her back earlier this year, so we were looking for advice. We went to a local physio and stuff like that. And then she got bad advice from somebody else, went to do some Pilates or something, which wasn't specific to her case. And her hernia got worse, and within a few weeks she had to have a spinal surgery because of bad advice that the physio hadn't given. She entrusted someone who didn't have expertise or authority in that subject matter. Now, this person's written about lower back pain and yoga. That's fine. You can write that kind of content, but again, not if it risks somebody's health. Again, your money, your life. Somebody is entrusting you with their health. It needs to be authoritative. This person's biography has no expertise or authority listed. In the search guidelines, Google actually says to their raters, double check the expertise and authority of people. It says, double check if that person is on Wikipedia, double check their LinkedIn profile. So I did the same thing. I followed their regulations and their framework, which says, double check LinkedIn. So I double checked the LinkedIn of this person. I'm sure she's a lovely person. She has a lot of amateur experience with yoga, but she has no experience or authority to say that these are good for lower back pain. She has no medical experience. And that's a problem. So I'm not going to trust this content, and neither is Google. And that's why Prevention lost 1.3 million monthly visitors, because content is written by people who don't have the expertise to say so. And almost overnight, fire emojis. Just imagine them. And businesses are in serious trouble because of a lack of EAT. So that's why it's so important. It can go so badly wrong if you don't demonstrate it on your website. And not just on your website, as I'm going to come on to. I'm going to give you the recipe for this. This is a checklist, a very basic checklist. Everybody can do it. You don't have to understand anything about SEO really to go through this. It's a series of checks to do on your website. I'll give it to you at the end. And the first question I'm sure many of you are thinking is, well, what if my writers aren't qualified? What if I've got someone just writing out content because somebody once said, oh, you need 500 words per page on your website for SEO? Not the case. Well, you're going to go through as the expert and sign off on it. You as a business owner or marketing manager, perhaps there's somebody in your company, or you as a company owner can prove that this content is accurate. So if you have somebody creating content for you, fine. Double check it. Make sure it has nothing that is questionable within it, and then sign off on it. And I'll show you a good example of how you can do that in just a moment. Go through and audit your existing content. So just double check it all. It might take a little bit of time, but it's worth it, especially when we look at some websites which have increased their traffic since the EAT update of the Medic update. And then again, sign off on all of that. Audit it all, sign off on it. Add your name to it and say, I approve of this message. And then if you don't have a team of writers, or you have no time to write yourself, hire strong researchers and writers. So people who are fantastic at putting together great content, who are going to make sure that everything is factual as possible, and then sign off on that. So an example, our content marketers are fantastic researchers and writers. We write about a lot of subjects. We write for law clients, for example, well-researched content, well-written content, and then the lawyers in the company for each part, litigation or family law, they'll sign off and say, this is factual, we approve, and their name can go next to the content. So an example of this, Very Well Mined, a big website that kind of came about from a change from about.com. Don't know if many of you remember about.com. It's like Wikipedia, but worse. It lists the content creators. I think this content was a bit older, who doesn't really have the expertise to write about this. They have it signed off by somebody who is an expert. Somebody came in with a medical degree and said, yep, all the stuff in here, factual. That's fine. It's all evidence-based. We approve of this. This can stay on the website as factual information. Very Well Mined had a great time through all of the updates. They switched to this domain back at the beginning of the year, which is why they had this steady increase. But they're rocking about 5 million monthly visitors just in the US at the moment, because all of their content has been double-checked by somebody who knows what they're talking about. So they give their authors strong profiles. They promote their content creators. So if they have people who wrote older content, if they have had it peer-reviewed, for example, they'll give a full biography for that person. So instead of you going searching around the web, you can just click the link on the author's name and see, oh, okay, this is why I should trust this person. Because they list their expertise, they list why they're an authority, they list where they worked, their qualifications, they back it up. They list all of the credentials, and within 30 seconds of landing on the page, even half of that, I know I can trust this person. So do it for your content creators, your authors, do it for yourself on your website content, pages, or blog posts, doesn't matter. Put your name to it, link through to a biography about yourself and why you should be trusted. The same if you have it peer-reviewed, link through to a peer review a page on your website that says all of that information. And then you can promote that. So help your content creators or yourself, if you're doing it for yourself, promote yourself elsewhere. Because you're good, as you did with buying electronics, you looked around the web at reviews. You looked around the web and saw, can I trust this product? Can I trust this service? Can I trust this brand? You can help them by helping them promote their own blog, perhaps, so other people can find them and build up trust in that person by looking at their blog, by looking at social media. Encourage them to promote themselves on behalf of themselves, but also on behalf of your brand. You're going to be building up brand awareness because they're going to be demonstrating, I'm an expert in said subject, and this is why you should trust me, and people are going to start seeing your brand name everywhere. On their blog, on social media, on podcasts, do podcast appearance. Speak to Tim, see if you can appear on Tim's podcast and promote your expertise in your subject. You can reach out and promote your content in other publishers as well, so write for other people with an audience that trust that publisher. You can write books or contribute to books on your subject matter. You can do speaking engagements or events like this. Perhaps there's something local to you, like a business event. Fire up meetup.com, something like that. See if there's somewhere you can appear and demonstrate your expertise. Maybe there are a few small, medium business size owners there who need an expert in your subject, in your field, that don't even realize you're there, you're local to them. They immediately pick up some trust in you, and the next day they're picking up the phone and asking for more details. And also, they can do videos as well, if this will click through. Okay. They can do videos too, so videos for your own company, or maybe appearing on video casts as well, like Tim does too. And again, promote them on your website. So list them on your About page, or separately on a Meet the Team page, for example. Make sure it's easy for everybody to be able to put a face to the name. Make it easy for them to see the face behind the brand. Again, you're not going to trust me if you can't see the person. You're not going to hand over money unless you can build up a rapport with someone. So again, promote those people and their expertise. Put it on your About page, but also make it easy for people to find information about you, such as contact information, such as refund information. Make it sure that before they've even reached out to you, they can build up trust. They know no matter what happens, I'm not being scammed for my life, for my money, and so on. And then when you've built up this authority and expertise, you can increase your trust by asking people for their testimonial, asking them to review your business. After the sale has gone through, service or product, doesn't matter, email them a few days later and say, hey, would you mind leaving me a review? Here's a link through to my Google My Business page. Here's a link straight through to my Trustpilot page. Please leave me a review. And then you can add that to your website. This is a former client of ours who sold their business, so we're not working with them anymore. But they've demonstrated their expertise by adding their testimonials directly to the website. So without leaving the website and double-checking elsewhere, I can already see, right, these guys are trusted by other people. Unlike when you were buying your electronics earlier, you checked other people's reviews because you value their opinion, you value their credibility. I am more likely to trust this company because other people have said that they're trustworthy. So I'm already subconsciously in my head have thought, I have no problem handing over my money to this company. So again, ask your customer base for a review. Ask your existing customer base, ask your future customers. It takes very little time to just send out an email with 4 lines or 4 links to different review websites and say, would you mind terribly just leaving me a review? Maybe have a small percentage that say yes, or only click one of the 4 or 5 links that you send them. But again, you're increasing reviews, increasing your trustability very quickly, and you can add that to your website. And as a bonus, because we all love SEO and links, this is a great link building opportunity too. So a friend of mine operates some SEO software, and he was looking for testimonials, and I jumped straight at the opportunity, not just because I love the software and value it highly, also because I knew when I got my name mentioned, I could link back to my website. So you could reach out to your partners or suppliers or people you trust and say, oh, I could write a testimonial for you, and you can maybe link back to me. And then a short period of time, just a few emails, you may have 3 or 4 backlinks from highly trusted businesses in your niche or in a related website for doing very little effort. And again, if those domains demonstrate their own expertise, authority, and trustworthiness themselves, then that's going to flow through to you in the form of link equity or page rank or whatever you would like to call that domain authority. So Brittany Stackhouse is going to be talking about mobile friendliness. Super important. I would pay high attention to that talk. It's very good. Make sure your content, as per Google's guidelines, make sure your content is easy to access, free of distractions. Please use multimedia to make your content easier to digest. Some people love to read. Some people learn far better if they can hear or see what they're being told. I know that I'm best when I do things myself. Instead of reading, I just zone out and not interested. So make sure that you double check what is best for your target audience and provide the best kind of content for them. And again, make it distraction free. If you use adverts as your business model, if that is what your website is about, that's fine. Just do so with some restraint. Don't go too crazy and advertise lots of SEO software to me because I'm just not going to pay attention. I immediately lose trust in this website about health information, which should be highly important and easy to access. I lose trust and kind of turn off a bit because I know that's not what's important to them. What's important to them is the people clicking on the ads. That's really all they care about. They don't care about my health. I suffered a stroke last November, and I got very concerned about a lot of medical things that happened to me afterwards. I was like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? And I couldn't get into the GP very quickly because, well, we all know what the situation is like here in the UK. I was searching a lot of health websites and things like that. I couldn't really trust a lot of websites because they couldn't demonstrate the EAT to me. They couldn't say I should trust them. And all this kind of stuff just turns me straight off. I'm not going to pay attention. I don't feel that they really care about me and my situation because this is what they're trying to promote instead. So keep it clean. Keep your website free of distractions. Make it all about servicing what your user is looking for. At the end of the day, they're searching for a specific need. You are trying to match it. You want to match their intent with the exact perfect copy or sales page, product page, article, guide for them. Match their specific intent. And David's going to be speaking a little later about user intent in search engine result pages. Very important. I would pay a lot of attention to that. But the most important thing you can do for all of this is invest for the future. So the EAT update in August, the Medic update, was not the first occasion in which an update had happened where EAT was the main part of it. There are regular updates. There are dozens of updates every day, but this was huge. And again, not the first about EAT. There was one back in March, which is all about EAT. I can't promise there's going to be a magic bullet, and tomorrow, if you lost any traffic during the Medic update, it's going to come back tomorrow. You are going to have to demonstrate you're an expert, you have authority, you're trustworthy over a long period of time. You're going to have to build up your people's perception of your brand, improve brand sentiment through your content, on your website, off your website, through testimonials, all of that. But I can promise that it works because I've seen it all the time. I see it with our own clients. This client came to us in June of last year, with 1,100 visitors via search. They had a slight issue with EAT, so we helped them to improve it. We improved their expertise and authority, and because they invested back then, they're seeing the results now. So 1,100 monthly visitors back then, they're around about 10,000 organic visitors now. So we're not even talking about referral traffic that we bring in through the content that we put on other people's websites. That's just organic. So we've increased their ranking based on how much expertise or authority they've demonstrated to Google. And Google clearly trusts them to promote them and get and move them up the ranking. So it's about making improvements all the time. So improve today. Even if you make a 1% improvement today, and every day for the next 365 days, you're going to have 37 times more, 37 times better website than you did today. So make those little improvements over time. Change your about page tomorrow. Work on your author pages the day after that. Little changes. Because if you don't, other people are going to do it instead. Your competitors are out there, maybe paying attention to what EAT is, reading the EAT blog post that I put out this morning, maybe. They're going to go away and make improvements. If you don't, that's effectively doing 1% of nothing every day, 1% worse than you were today. And in 365 days, you'll be 97% worse off. So make those slight improvements. And again, I'm going to give you that checklist to download. You can go home and do that yourself, go back to the office, work through each line, one a day if you must. But it's super important that you do. And again, I would put these wildfire emojis up, but let's skip that. Not doing so risks not just your ranking, it risks your traffic. And lost traffic means lost leads. Lost leads means lost sales. It means a revenue problem for your business model. Not just your website. We're talking about lost business and maybe having to shop because you can't pay your staff, can't pay suppliers, can't pay for all the logistics, your warehouse, all of that stuff, because you haven't demonstrated why you're trustworthy. So in summary, Google can measure your EAT with accuracy, and more accuracy than yesterday, and I guarantee that tomorrow will be even more accurate. And a big update will come along and be a focus on EAT, and everything will change, and only those of you who work on your EAT are going to be safe from that. Then we're just talking about EAT. I mean, there's link building, all that kind of stuff. Links are very strong for building up your trust too, so do focus on that as well. But Google can definitely measure it. So you can do things tomorrow. Very simple things, but they include having high quality content and preferably the highest quality content in your niche. So make sure that when people search for the thousands of different keyword phrases you may be targeting, that your content is undoubtedly the best out there. Invest in your content creators. Make sure that their content is fantastic and that you're promoting them on your website, promoting them off-site as well. So give them a voice because their voice speaks for your brand, speaks for your business. You know, maybe you have a different opinion about Exposure Ninja today because of my talk, because of all the talks that happened today. Promote your content creators. Just give them the opportunity to do so and prove it on-site. So list your authors, list all of your company details, be transparent, make it easy for people to formulate an opinion about you, that you're an expert, that you're authoritative, and that you're trustworthy. If you want that checklist, the recipe, you can download that via this link. There you'll find a link to my What is the EAT blog post, which details what I've been talking about today. Link to these slides, which I will add a little later. What is the Medic Update blog post? There's a bunch of stuff in there, including my contact details. Feel free to ping some questions to me about EAT anytime. More than happy to talk about it. And hopefully you'll have an increase in revenue, maybe not this cake, if she'll leave you any. And that's it. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you like to.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, if you have two different businesses, online businesses that you're trying to promote and they're very different, is there a conflict in trying to build that trust in Google's because you're trying to promote these different skill sets? Will you kind of dilute your authority and trust?
I would say not. I would say that Google is smart enough and people are smart enough. If we're smart enough to look at a profile of someone and see, well, they've said that they're an expert in this or they've said that they're an expert in this, we as people can make that assessment. So it's very likely that Google's algorithm could do so too. And again, it's not just proven in the profiles that you have available, it's proven in the quality of your content as well, it's proven in the links that you earn. So I wouldn't say it's a problem. Again, as long as you demonstrate why you should be trusted in these two subjects sufficiently, either on your site or in your off-site profiles, then I shouldn't imagine you would have an issue there. No problem. Anybody else?
I had two, if I could.
Please.
First one was with the reviews. Are they better done on the website, or are they better done on a review website and links to the review website?
I would say the more reviews, the merrier. If you can have them added to your website as well as elsewhere, do so. Again, if you can send out an email to your customer past sale and link them to both, maybe a review system on your website and elsewhere, that's great. I mean, it's good to have testimonials everywhere. And you can, again, similar to one of our clients, former clients, they used a special widget to kind of embed those reviews on their website as well. So if you don't want to build reviews on your own system, just include your off-site review system on your website instead.
Thank you.
Sorry, just to jump in there as well. So the search quality rater guidelines actually state that the quality raters are supposed to look for third-party websites as well, aren't they? So Google's actually saying we do want to look on third-party sites for reviews, not just your site, because you could game those. Not that you would, of course. You could.
Well, not that you would.
We would never.
And my other question was around the backlinks.
Yes.
If I have backlinks from other websites to mine, but those websites are of poor quality, poor authority, would that damage mine?
It can have a knock-on effect, but it's very dependent on the domain. So from one domain to the next. It's a very deep conversation, so probably best if I talk to you about that later, or any of our link specialists here, the SEO ninjas here. Yeah, it really depends. However, if let's say that one domain doesn't have a very strong domain authority, we'll just use that for now. If it doesn't have very strong domain authority, but is contextually relevant to you, if it talks about your industry or your subject matter, whatever it is, maybe Google will place more trust in it because it's contextually linking. Link building or backlinks are not so much about the quantity or high domain authority of the linking domain. It's more today about the contextual relevance of a link. So if you earn links from people who related to you, other people in your industry perhaps, they're going to have a lot more value than, say, if I'm in law and I have a link back from, let's say, I'm trying to think of something else, a recipe website. There's not very much value in that link. Okay, maybe they have a high authority themselves, but not as much as if I was getting a backlink from Law Society, for example.
Sorry, there's so many review platforms out there from Google, TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, and so on. I mean, when for me, for example, I send out an email asking people to review on these various platforms, but at what point does it get too much? I mean, which ones should I be focusing on? Should I be focusing on Google's reviews, own reviewing platform, or? Yeah,
Google actually has some preferences. So you may see when you search for Exposure Ninja, it pulls through it's called a knowledge graph, which is at the side and gives you business details. It pulls through the ratings from Facebook as well. So it not only shows you our Google My Business reviews, it also shows you our Facebook reviews too. So there are some domains or networks which are more valuable. So I would say Trustpilot, FIFO, few of those are quite good. Google pays more attention to them. So FIFO is FEEFO. So yeah, I would maybe promote some of those, but if there's perhaps one that's relevant to your industry, maybe work on that one instead. I would never suggest just work towards building up your reviews just for what Google, just to build up Google's opinion of your website. Focus more on the person, not the user, the person. What would you, if you were in their shoes, be thinking? Which reviews would you trust more? If it was from a law reviews website, I know there's like a load of dental review websites out there. I'd maybe trust that more than just a kind of a general one, perhaps. But yeah, I definitely recommend Trustpilot. Google My Business, certainly for local businesses. If there are any others, yeah, people and so on. And again, I would always test it. Send out an email with a few, see how many links are being clicked on, send it with just one, see what the click-through rate is on that instead, and then just work from there. Cool.
Alrighty. Thanks so much, Dal.